Good morning, everybody. It's Tony here with Phil on St. Valentine's Day. So welcome, Phil.
Yeah, thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day to you. So we're going to talk today about our current audiobook, which is Tribes by Seth Godin. So he's written a number of books. We'll take you to his website as well later. He's really a marketing expert. And so as with his other books, that's along the lines of what Tribes is about. But specifically, a tribe, as we're looking at this, is a group of people connected to one another, to a leader, and they have an idea or a goal or agenda that's all connected, and that's what it's about. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a really short read and a good one. I think it's really trying to get at, what a lot of passionate movements and leaders and what's so connected to the core of who human beings kind of really are, and I think anybody could read this and probably over their lifetime should probably do it multiple times.
yeah. And so, the one thing about a tribe is, the first thing is you have to have an idea, right? Because that idea is going to lead to a passion. And that idea is what is going to connect people. And one of the things that make it much easier today, obviously with social media and our mobile phones and all those things, it's just a lot easier to have a movement than it was, even 30 years ago when we didn't have ways to connect like we do today. So the first thing is that idea, though, and you need to really be able to communicate that idea through the connections. One of the first things we talk about in being able to communicate that idea is just to get a real small group, one or two people, to get it going that have that similar idea and to go from there.
I think that's one of the things that he mentions is that ideas are a dime a dozen and there's tons of good ones, but it has to be something that you're passionate about. If the leader is not that passionate about, they're like, I just want to be the leader of a movement. I'm going to pick something that I think could be passionate about, like that other people, like it's just a good idea. It's not going to work. It's something that you have to really believe in and be passionate about, and then find a group of people that are passionate about it too, and then it kind of feeds off of itself to grow.
Yeah. And so that's why it has to be communicated so clearly. You don't want to, you will have some splinters off of tribes, but they then become their own tribes because really you're in a concentrated idea and a movement to get people to join and to connect and to go forward with that. So it starts also, aside from that main idea, you also have to have good leadership. And you have to have somebody who's driving and keeping it moving forward, and having the right people involved, the right connections, and those types of things. So that makes it a real important feature too.
Sure. I think he kind of, his definition is, I think it was a good quote in there, leadership is about creating change that you believe in. And so it's interesting how many leadership books there are out there and how people think that leaders are born and you got to have charisma and you got to have these different things. And I'm sure a lot of these tools help people communicate, and it's nice to have them. But I think his point is that almost anybody could be a leader if they'll get out in front and they have something that they really believe in, that they're pushing forward and can connect with other people.
Yeah. We see it happening all the time, right? Somebody will just have an idea, and really the idea is out there, right? Like you said, it's a dime a dozen, but it's somehow rallying around a really defined good idea that really makes it more successful. And having that good leadership will only increase the effectiveness of what the tribe is trying to do. So, there's a lot of people that have these ideas, but it's easier to just respond. Initiating it and getting it going is what really is hard.
For sure. And I like the part of the book where it talked about that he was on vacation and, looking up some of his emails or whatever the case, because he actually enjoyed what he did and he wanted to make sure that things were going along. And there were some people that commented that, isn't it sad this guy comes on vacation to just work? But then, I think a good quote was, you need to set up a life that you don't need to escape from and have a vacation so that you enjoy what you do all the time. And of course, that probably goes with believing in and being passionate about what you do, right?
Yeah. And not letting it consume you too much. But that was a great example how two people got away for 1 week of their life on his vacation, and were mocking him because not knowing what he was doing.
But they hated their life most of the time.
Yeah, but and those two, they were probably right about that because most people don't have that passion and don't follow and set those things up. So when they are on vacation looking at email, it's probably just something they're dreading less because they're on a beach than what they normally do. So it came up with some suggestions too, about what would make a successful tribe and a movement. So the one thing, this goes back to thinking about Jerry Maguire, is kind of publishing a manifesto, publishing your thoughts on what you want it to be, and to be as specific as possible, because that will hone in on the idea and get people to function more about that. Another thought is you have to make it easy to connect, right? And so if you want to start a movement, you got to allow people to join. Obviously, again, so much easier these days. I think when we look now at politicians, Andrew Yang is somebody who came out of nowhere, and I use him because it's one idea. He had one idea, and that is the $1,000 a month income. And from that, he became really a relevant politician running for the Democratic nomination. He has since dropped out, but that one idea and being able to connect with people really allowed it to take off and grab hold. And I still think someday that's not the end of it, just because he's dropped out. So
yeah, and I think these kind of two ideas from the book are kind of interrelated, but that people are social creatures, and we want to connect with one another or connect with some kind of shared passion, and really people, even though I think there's lots of books, and I think the general idea that people buy into is that human beings are afraid of failure, and it's not necessarily the case that they're afraid of failure. They're afraid of blame and the social kickback from that more than the actual failure. And of course, any solution to like overcoming something is first realizing it, right? And if we have this huge misconnection about what our fears really are, then it probably holds you back from being able to succeed and making the failures that you need to learn to get to where you need to be.
Yeah. Well, and it's a good point. I mean, leadership can be a lot of discomfort, right? And doing things that other people aren't willing to do and get out of that comfort zone. But when you really feel that passion about it and recognize it as a good idea and a good movement, it becomes easier for you. But still, to make it really successful, oftentimes you have to have that discomfort. So,
and then kind of the last thing that kind of struck me as I thought was a cool kind of term that he kind of invented. At least I think it may have come from somewhere else, but he called it sheep walking. Right? It's like when you're kind of just buying into what needs to be done or doing things for doing them, and there's no passion anymore whatsoever. And I think where he told the story that it bounced out was with Google employees, and I would think most people would think that almost entire company is passionate about what they're doing and whatsoever. And he's like, well, they've evolved to the point where a lot of them aren't anymore, and what's their purpose and their mission, and et cetera. And so, don't be a sheep walker, right?
Yeah. Not in every aspect of life anyway. So, so that's a good one. And another point I thought was important was, you see this if you think of a successful movement, especially a recent one. It's not just connecting with the leader and having a way to communicate, but it's connecting with each other and building that stronger foundation with everybody to make the movement even stronger. And you saw that. I'll use the Yang thing one more time, but there was a Yang Gang and people connecting. You see bumper stickers and things like that, and having meetings and such. So I don't mean to just single him out, but I think that was a really good example of something that really happened fast and really got a lot of momentum. That's what I like to go.
So was there anything you wanted to share about the website and whatso before we kind of wrap it up?
I think, if this interests you, and it really is, as Phil said, a good, easy book and something that people should read. But Seth has a lot of good ideas. And so you can go to his website. He has a podcast. If you want to go there, Alex, it's just SethGodin.com. And you can see, the podcast is here, the books and things like that, and more about him, even some of the marketing seminars and hearing him speak and such. He's just a good resource, I think, for a number of these things.
Sure.
And if you can see here, if I just went to books and courses, I don't think I'm there already. Yeah. But in either case, just go there. And get, this book is a good, easy one. Take a look at it and take a look at his other material as well.
I think it's admirable too. I think a constant theme of his book was, hey, I'm not just writing this to tell you about these people that exist out there like some kind of exotic animal. Like just about any person can do it, and most of us are passionate about something, and it would probably make the world a better place. And if more people did it, you know, it would be better. We would connect more to each other. Things would change more. And I think he's like, we need you. Go out there and you be a leader and be passionate about something and do something. And I think it's just a good all around message.
Yeah. One final point then is money can't be the point, right? I mean, that is where what makes things better.
It's just a resource.
Money is not the point, and you're trying to make things better. So, anyway.
Well, thanks so much for joining in. Next week we're going to have our financial planning update, where we're going to go over some stuff about individual health insurance, group health insurance, Medicare. Kind of give you the whole spiel, so you can kind of get an idea where things are heading into this year, and then for all the open enrollment stuff at the end of this year. So again, thanks for tuning in. Go ahead and go read the book, Tribes, and of course, if there's anything we can do, let us know. Join the discussion on our social media channels. Love to hear from you. Even love to hear your suggestions for books you think we should review in the future. Thanks so much. Hope you spend some time with a loved one today.
Take care.